Hey, I'm Serenity and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a 3-year update of my Trimalleolar fracture video. So there's a lot going on here. I wasn't sure if I was going to ever film another update to this, but I do have substantially a lot less notes than normal. They're here. As a little background, 3 years ago on July 5th, 2023, I slipped on some water and I broke my ankle in 4 different places and tore multiple ligaments, resulting in what is known as a Trimalleolar fracture. I have a whole 45-minute video that was filmed sometime in like November, December of 2023 on that experience. You're going to need to watch that first to understand this. That is kind of like the road to recovery as I was actively in recovery and how the injury happened and my hardships with it. Now, I did film a 1-year update to that video, but I never filmed a 2nd-year update. You're also going to need to watch the 1-year update. That was 30 minutes. Both of them are linked down below. They're very important to watch this. But I never really expected those videos to go as far all over of YouTube to touch a lot of people who are experiencing a Trimalleolar fracture or similar to it. So there's a couple things that need to be said. It is 3 years later. I never filmed a 2nd update video to that because nothing really had changed from the 1st year after the injury to the 2nd year after the injury. But I can say now from the 2nd to the 3rd year, so much has changed for the better. So this video kind of is like a little bit of hope, but a little bit of like it gets better. And these changes I barely noticed at the start of the year. I wrote down some changes for the better at the beginning of this year. And I said, well, if it comes around July and you know, a lot of changes have happened that are positive, or maybe I've relapsed or something, I'll film a video because nothing really had changed that I set out in the first video of like, hey, I want to start running. I want to go to a sporting event where I have to walk 20,000 steps and really be put in that test. None of that really happened. And I also didn't put the effort in between that year to do those things. That has changed now. Okay, so some background to this video is it's being filmed on July 22nd. So my first 1-year update was filmed on the day I initially got injured, which was July 5th, 2023. So I filmed it on July 5th, 2024. This is being filmed on July 22nd, 2026, which is crazy to say because these past 3 years, so much of like myself has changed, but like they also feel like they've flown by. It's the anniversary of the Barbenheimer movie this weekend. But anyways, so what has changed and why I'm filming it so late is I was actually on a flight home from Paris when it was my 3-year anniversary. I wrote down before I went to Paris for 6 weeks. I left in the end of May, came back July 5th, the day of my injury. What had changed is I wrote down before I went to Paris, I knew it was going to be a lot of walking. I wrote down, hey, if you notice anything substantial in your foot, you know it's going to be a lot of walking, maybe film the update video. And that is why I filmed this update video. So some background, I was in Paris for 6 weeks studying abroad. I walked on average anywhere from like 12,000 to 30,000 steps in a day because there is no option. You don't have the option to take it easy. It's sink or swim, okay? To walk to my school in the morning, even after taking a 30-minute metro ride, it was at least 1,000 to 1,500 steps, depending how fast you walk. Then also in Paris, you walk real fast. Like there is no stopping. There is so many stairs. To get in and out of my apartment, it was 4 flights of stairs. Okay, so I was in a situation with an injury that is now at this point almost 3 years old where I had to sink or swim. Okay, and in total, because I have an Oura ring, I wrote down I'm a crazy person. Whenever my friends see this, they think I'm crazy. But basically, I track all my steps on the daily and I calculated it all together. In the month of June, I had 451,031 steps. In total, because I was there from the end of May to the 5th of July, I walked over 514,000 steps and some odd change. So I wasn't lying. Like you had to walk so much. And when you have a foot injury, it's sink or swim. So I wanted to see how being in a situation where you are forced to walk everywhere, there is no like benches to sit at in public in Paris, like pretty much nowhere. There is no breaks. I wanted to see how my foot reacted if I was able to do it and then would make this update video. So here is what has changed since the 1-year update. I can now sit on my hutches, which basically, if you know the Ariana Grande album cover where she's sitting on her legs, I remember not being able to do that. There was a lot of pain doing that. I can now do it very easily. There's very minimal pain. It's not really pain. It's more of like a stretch. When you stretch a muscle that's like, hasn't been stretched in a while, right? But most time that stretch isn't even there. I think that's because of my desk chair. So my desk chair is right here. It is not really a desk chair. It is a big, oversized, like lounge chair that goes in like a living room den. I don't know. I love this chair. And in this chair, I sit crisscrossed all the time, or I sit with my legs to my side, either on this side, or I sit with my feet touching like this, and then my knees are up. I will insert pictures of all of these positions that I sit in this chair in. I think it's because I've been using this chair since November of 2025. I think since then, I just sit in a horrible way. I have Ehlers-Danlos, which I spoke about in the initial video. Some really weird positions that you sit in are comfortable. Like I sleep with my knees up, bent in like a crutches position. I think that sitting in this chair day in and day out, obviously I edit a lot. I do classwork from my laptop. I think that kind of aided in like an unknown way. I didn't set out to help it improve my flexibility in my left foot, but it did because the way I was sitting in that desk chair. Now, that's not advice. That's just like, this is my desk chair. This is how I sit. That's not advice to like go, if you work in an office job, with a normal desk chair to sit like that. It's just, I think this sitting in this chair somehow subconsciously in the back of my mind, it kind of fixed my flexibility. And another thing that's changed is I feel normal. Like I know there is a plate and multiple screws in my ankle, my left foot. It doesn't feel like that every day. Like there's times where maybe I turn too fast or I stretch my foot after walking too long and I get a Charlie horse in the foot. That's very rare. I forget that there is an injury to it most days, unless I see the scar, which before that wasn't the case. But let's get into some leftover effects. This is something I've noticed is when I lay flat asleep, like flat, usually your feet will fall to the side like this. The left one, the injured one, cannot lay flat completely. Now, it used to be pretty bad where I was maybe, the bed is here, this much, I'm at this angle is how my left foot is laying, and then the right is laying completely flat. So I'm like this. Now I can get pretty much flat. It's about like maybe half an inch at most, but the left foot still doesn't lay completely flat when I'm laying down, if that makes sense. The arches, when I point my toes, are pretty much the same now. There is a little like strain pull, but it's not pain when I do that. My foot is definitely flatter, and I've said this before, but I think my foot now is actually more closer to an 8.5 to a 9 US women's, or that is a 39.5/40 European. Before I got injured, my foot was a 8, straight 8, or a 39 European. Now I think it's closer to an 8.5, a 9. And how I know that is I just bought two pairs of shoes, of flats, and of like these ballerina sneakers. And I ordered an 8 and an 8.5 in the other, and then the same exact brand. And the 8.5 feels more comfortable. So I know for sure my foot is more flat. I knew it when I wear New Balance 574s all the time. The pair I've had for years, they felt tight after I started wearing both shoes again. And they feel tight, the 8 in the left foot mostly. While we're talking about shoes, I have not worn heels. Now I am going to start wearing them on occasion because I do need to be in the club wearing heels. But I did wear them once out in Paris, but they actually were my friends who is a size 7. So that was on me, and they were like straight up stilettos. That did put a strain on my ankle. I'm just gonna have to work my way up to a heel of that height because maybe not wearing the 4-inch heels that are a size too small was my greatest idea. But my next thing I want to learn is how to walk in heels. Not walk in heels, but like wear them on more occasions because I haven't done that. Mostly up until this point, I've been wearing Converse, which are my comfort shoe. I actually wore out a pair of normal Converse in Paris from all the steps. Like I broke the soles from walking in them so much. I also broke in a pair of Mary Jane's Adidas. And usually I used to never wear Adidas prior to the injury because they're too flat. And now wearing a pair of Adidas, they are super comfy. So it's just like my comfort in shoes kind of has changed. There is occasional pain, as I said, as I'm overexerting my foot. So at one point when I was in France, a train from Monaco to Nice broke down. It was during a heat wave. That's a whole nother story. And we had to walk, I think it was like the next train station over from Monaco. We had to walk straight up a hill. I'm talking like 8 flights of stairs, but it was just a hill going round and round. And I could feel the pull in my ankle from it, but there was no choice. Like I had to get up this hill to get to the bus station, or I wasn't going to get back to the Airbnb on time. And no Ubers were coming in and out of the area. So I do see when there is overexertion in those matters. Also, if I don't need to take a lot of stairs, I won't, right? At the Eiffel Tower, you can choose for a cheaper price to walk all the way up, or you can take the elevator. I chose the elevator and pay the extra €2-3 because it's still an injury. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm going to overexert it. Another thing that has helped is swimming. Swimming, naturally, you have to paddle your feet. I have a swimming pool now, so swimming really does help. If you can get to a local pool, no matter where you are in your recovery, it can help. So I want to talk about how my life has changed and advice for people. Currently in my personal life, my mother has just had foot surgery, not a trimalleolar fracture, but foot surgery where she will be unable to walk for 6 weeks. And the trauma has set in where I'm telling her, okay, you need to get into the shower, sit on the shower chair, and then turn on the water. You need to double wrap your foot in a trash bag before you get in the shower so it doesn't get wet. You need to make sure you have this elevation pillow. And the easiest way to get around the house and not overexert your arms from crutches is going to be on just a moving desk chair with wheels, right? So I have it personal in my life of someone who is going through something I experienced 3 years ago. Now, her surgery was a lot minor compared to mine, but the advice I have for her and for people who maybe you are just in there, just starting. I get comments pretty much like weekly on one of the 2 previous videos in this Trimalleolar series in a weird way, as it's going to take time. I know you're going to hate hearing this. I would say it's going to take 3 years because you cannot push yourself, but also you need to let your body heal with the metal that's in your foot. And in general, just let it get used to what's changed. That's really it. So I would say it takes 3 years. You need to take your physical therapy seriously. You need to not overexert your body. I barely feel back to normal now, right? And if I didn't go to Paris and walk 500,000 steps, I couldn't tell you, oh, finally, I know I can do this. I'm at a point right now in my life where I'm like, oh, I know I can walk 30,000 steps in a day easily. I know I can run if I need to and not be worried anymore of like something happening. And with that, you have to prioritize your grandma's shoes. What I mean with that is comfort. You have to prioritize the comfort, even though they're not cute. Dad's shoes are in. Grandma flats are in. Now, 3 years later, am I barely going to get back into heels? And actually, I'm ordering some sensible heels with the cushion comfort inside. So you need to prioritize your comfort of your foot until it's fully healed. Then you could start wearing the stripper heels and the tall platform sandals. So please prioritize your foot safety, right? I have pairs of cowboy boots and like black leather knee boots to wear in the fall that I haven't worn in 3 years because of the injury. Now I finally feel comfortable enough to wear them. So they've been sitting collecting dust for so long. I have a pair of loafers that have like a 2-inch platform-ish, and they would wreck my feet and hurt my ankle because they're so heavy to pick up. Now I know I can handle it. And that doesn't mean that I don't have pain. I have pain not all the time, maybe a couple times a month. When it rains, I don't get pain. So I know the arthritis hasn't set in. And it's sometimes maybe I overexert myself. I shouldn't be running and swimming and cycling all in one day. We got to keep pace. We got to slow down. So going forward, I know I'm capable at the minimum of walking 2 miles a day easily. Right now, I prefer my walks outside, even though I live in Texas and it's 98 degrees outside at 9 p.m. So I prefer that. But going forward, and I know I said this in the first year update, I am actually going to start running. I will start wearing like ankle weights on our dog walks, and I'm craving that outside time and exercise now after coming back from my trip. And another thing is that trip fixed my insomnia. I remember saying in the first year update and in the initial video, I had got severe insomnia where I couldn't fall asleep till 2 or 3 in the morning. Now, 2-3 weeks back-ish, I now can go to bed at a reasonable time. So if you are in the midst of the injury, please prioritize your bedtime schedule because it took 3 years to get rid of it. And it took 3 years and going overseas for 6 weeks to fix my insomnia. No matter what I took, could I fix it? Melatonin didn't work. Chamomile tea didn't work. Nothing worked. So if you are in the midst of the injury right now, please prioritize your sleep schedule. Go to sleep at a reasonable hour because you cannot fix it. So my advice is just listen to your doctors. Take your time. No, you're not going to be fine in a year. No matter what people say on the initial video. I know a lot of people were like, oh, I bounced back in a year and I was fine. That's not everyone's story. That's not my story. That's probably not going to be your story. Okay? Do not overexert yourself because I will never put myself in a position, even though the initial injury was an accident, to be back in that position, if that makes sense. I'm going to stretch before my walks and runs. I'm going to make sure I stretch after. I will never put myself in a position or overexert myself where something happens and I'm in that position again. Because as I said in that initial video, of the injury, while I was in the thick of it, I was in the darkest place of my life. I didn't want to be here anymore because of the pain. And not that I would ever take the step to do that, but I got pretty close in my mind. Like I knew some sliver of me would have kept me from doing it. And I never want to get back to that point of like, hey, I'm counting down the minutes till my next pain pill. So just please take it day by day. Just be happy if you're getting stronger day by day. That's all that matters, right? Prioritize your comfort. Okay, wear the sensible shoes. Wear the granddaddy shoes. Wear the grandma flats with the arch support. Listen to your doctors. Listen to your physical therapists. And just take it day by day. Slowly work your way up to doing the 10,000 steps. Then the 15. Then the 30, like I was forced to do. Take the stairs slowly. I can now climb the stairs real quick. But yeah, that is the 3-year update. I know it's not as long as the previous 2 videos in this quote-unquote series, but it is what I have for you. I didn't know if I was going to make this video until literally I got back on July 6th. I don't know if there will be any update again after this. I'm in a pretty good place now after the injury. Maybe the update is a vlog of my first marathon. Who knows? I just put that into the universe, so knowing me, it's probably going to happen soon. Maybe that'll be the 4-year update, okay? Running a marathon. Okay, maybe we should make that the 4-year update. But yeah, all my social media is linked down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Love you, mean kisses. Don't think stupid. Please take your recovery seriously. Bye.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never